So you've just got yourself an Ally X, or maybe you're thinking of getting one and you want to get to grips with how to set it up. Well, this is a complete beginner's guide, whether you're just coming from console or this is your first gaming PC, or maybe your first Windows handheld, whatever it might be, this is everything that you're going to need to get it up and running and some tips and tricks along the way. Right, so straight away it's going to ask you what language you want and all that good stuff. This is just typical Windows stuff. So it's going to go, let's connect to a Wi-Fi network. So it's going to force you to connect to the internet. So obviously do that. It's then going to want you to name your device. And then of course we're forced to add a Microsoft account. So once you've done that, it's then going to say, do you want to back up and all that kind of stuff? And you're like, no, I do not want to restore this. I want this to be a fresh system. It's then going to ask for your fingerprint. So I did mine. It's actually pretty good. I quite like having the fingerprint reader on the top. So you can set that up as well if you'd like to. It's then going to ask you to register a PIN. So choose whatever you want that to be. And then we get the typical rubbish from Windows, you know, do you want this marketing stuff? Do you want to enable cookies for this, that, and the other, like advertising, blah, blah, blah. So just go through that and then you're going to get an ASUS window. So pop your email in and your phone number and whatever else if you want to. And then that's going to actually register your serial number to your account. At least that's what happened to mine here in the UK. So I added my stuff, even though I've got an ASUS account already and I hadn't actually signed in here, I just put my email and stuff. It already registered my Ally X to my account, because later on when we get to my ASUS, I tried to do it again and it said, no, you've already done it with the serial number. It's then going to ask you what you're interested in, at least doing on this device. So I chose gaming. It then says, do you want to use OneDrive? And I'm like, no, I hate OneDrive. It then also says about using your phone. Nah, skip all that rubbish. And also it's going to try and force you to import stuff onto your Edge browser. Again, I just ignored this. And then we get even more rubbish, which is Microsoft Office. So no to all, pretty much. Just no, I don't want any of this. Thank you. Move on. And then we are going to get an update. Now this does take a little while depending on your internet connection. So just hang tight, wait for it to be done. And then finally you will boot into Windows. So now I'm going to show you how to navigate Windows. The right stick by default is your mouse pointer. Right trigger is right click and right bumper is left click. So imagine you're holding a mouse, but now you've turned your hand sideways. That's what it's like, but you've got then the joystick as the pointer. I find this very natural, and once I'd used it for a little while on the pre-production unit, I was like, you know what, this makes a lot of sense, and I'm absolutely fine navigating like this. However, my wife, who now has an Ally 1, you know, the original, she hates that, so she immediately went and remapped it, which I can show you in a little while how we do. Right, now on the right-hand side, there's a button under Start, and this is actually for Armoury Crate. On the left-hand side is the Control Center or Command Center button. So left side Command Center, right side Armoury Crate, and you can pop these up over games and whatever else you want to do. Now, when you open Armoury Crate for the first time, it will give you a guided tour, of course, but we will look at that a bit later on. But the Command Center is where it's at, and immediately you want to know how to navigate the controls. So Command Center, and then there is a controls section. And this will let you switch between auto, gamepad, or Windows. Now, I recommend just setting it on Windows for now whilst we're setting it up. My thing is I'm always using the Windows control where it's just a mouse and keyboard unless I open a game. And once I open a game, I then put it in gamepad mode, but I do not like auto. Auto doesn't seem to know like how to switch properly, in my opinion, and half the time where I want it to be a mouse, it's like, no, you're using a controller now, and it's just frustrating. So I just manually say, nah, desktop mode, like all the time until I go into a game, and then I put it into gamepad mode. So now you know how to operate and sort of use the device, right, in a Windows handheld setting. It's so weird. But now you know how to use it. Let's get updating because there's a lot to do. So first of all, I want you to open Command Center with the new button that you should know where it is. It's on the right-hand side underneath Start if you'd forgotten. Now, you will be able to find Update Center. You can use the triggers and bumpers to sort of go left and right between the different tabs in Armoury Crate. Just get to the one where you can see Update Center and then hit check for updates. It's then gonna update all. You can hit update all and just leave it, wait for it to do its thing, and then it will probably ask you to restart. And once it's restarted, it is going to boot up into the BIOS. Don't worry if you're scared. It's just going to say, you know, do you want to upgrade the BIOS? Yes, you do want to update the BIOS. So just make sure that it's connected to the wall with a power outlet, you know, so the Ally X isn't just running off battery. Connect it up, hit yes, and leave it. Don't touch anything, let it do its own thing. Just the BIOS will update itself, and once it's done, it will reboot. Once it's rebooted, go back into Armoury Crate, and it will most likely say there was an update. It did for me. So I said, yes, please update Armoury Crate. It took a little while, and then once that was done, I opened Armoury Crate again, and then I went back to the update center just to make sure there's no updates that went under the radar or popped up after these updates or whatever. This is Windows. We are on a PC. Sometimes updates come after you've updated. It's really annoying. But yeah, so check for updates again in the update center. I was lucky. It did all of them straight away, so I didn't have to do this again, but just double check. Right, now I want you to back out of Armoury Crate and open My ASUS. You can either search for it in the search bar, or it is actually already pinned on your taskbar. It's the little blue sort of funny looking icon down on the bottom. You'll see it. Just open that up. It's then going to ask for an ASUS account, and you can either sign up here, or if you're like me and you've already got an ASUS account, then you can just log straight in. It will also say 2 tick boxes like, yeah, give me like updates and whatever, and then the other one will be please register my device to my account. I would still hit yes to that, even though I said earlier it already did it for me when I booted into the device, right? Just in case it didn't for whatever reason, all that's going to happen is give you an error code going, you can't do this because you've already assigned the warranty or whatever, right? So it's better to just do it twice than not do it at all. Once you've done that, you can then go to update My ASUS. Now, I actually had it easy. It just popped straight up saying there's an update here, please do it. But if not, on the left hand side there is a system update bit. I just clicked on that, waited for it to do its thing, and then it actually shut down My ASUS, and I had to manually reboot it. I thought it'd restart it, so I gave it a few minutes. It didn't. I then opened it again, and that was it. I checked for updates again, so please do that just to double check, but there wasn't any on the second time round for me, but you know, just safer than sorry, right? Oh, and just so you're aware, when you open the command center on the left hand side, if you go to the left underneath the brightness and the volume, there is the power option, so you can like sleep, hibernate, or restart or shut down, that kind of thing. So after the My ASUS update, it did say please restart your device at some point, so I just hit the command center button, the left button underneath the select button, went all the way down to the bottom left, it looks like a power icon, and then I just hit restart. And no, we are not done. Windows updates. So open up Windows down at the bottom left. So open up Start, open Settings, go to Windows Update and hit check for updates or update all. Now, for me, most of them updated, some of them failed, and then all the rest updated and said, you know, please restart your system. So I just went, yep, okay, leave it to do its thing, hit restart when it was done, went back to Windows Update. You're seeing a trend here, right? Every time you do an update, go back to it afterwards and just double check there's no more updates. And I'm pretty sure the ones that then failed previously then updated, and then we were ready to go. And you can believe it or not, we're not done. Yeah, go down in the bottom left and go to Microsoft Store, which is the little like cart looking thing, you know, you'll see it, it's on the taskbar already, and then check for updates there as well. And if you're lucky like me, here in the UK, we get 3 months of GamePass Ultimate like attached to the device. And even though I've swapped my drive out, it's actually like attached to the device, right? It must be on the motherboard or whatever in the BIOS. It then says, you know, do you want to claim your 3 months GamePass Ultimate? Hell yeah, of course I do. So whilst I was waiting for the updates to happen in the Microsoft Store there, I just went, yeah, okay, fine. And I accepted my 3 months just there, because why not? Why would you not say yes to that? But of course, I don't know if other countries get this 3-month offer or whether or not it's just a UK thing. So I don't know, it's worth checking. It just popped up for me. Maybe it will happen for you, but I really don't know if it's a regional thing or not. So next up, we're going to get rid of a load of rubbish from Windows, just some basic apps and stuff that you just don't need. So you're going to go to the search icon and search add or remove. That's then going to bring up all your apps. And I pretty much just got rid of all of the Microsoft stuff. So I got rid of like camera, I got rid of OneDrive because I hate it. I got rid of Microsoft 365 Office. I got rid of mail and contacts, maps, pretty much anything that is just rubbish that I don't need. I got rid of Solitaire. I know it's quite fun, but I just was like, I don't want that. I'm just going to get rid of it. Of course, if you're using this as a multi-use system, right, where you're going to be using this actually as a PC like my wife does with her Ally, then don't get rid of some of these things like Outlook and whatever else it might be that maybe you actually want. Maybe you want Office, I don't know, just leave it on there. But for me, I'm just using this purely as a gaming machine, so I just want to get rid of all of the rubbish. Now, I am going to just plug here, I will do a Windows optimization guide coming next, which will actually gain you some FPS as well. But again, that's going to be only if you're using this as a handheld system, like for gaming, not as like a multi-purpose system. But if you want to see that video, make sure you go down there and subscribe. Next up, we're going to disable startup items, at least if there's any that you don't want on. So go to Windows search, just type in startup. For me, because I'd uninstalled all that rubbish, there wasn't actually anything that I didn't want to open when I booted up, right? So I just left it as is, but for you, maybe there's some stuff you want to turn off so that you can do that then. Next up, we want to go to disk cleanup. So go down to the search icon, search disk cleanup, and then pretty much just select everything on there. Just hit all of the boxes and you'll net maybe another 5 gig or something. I don't know. There's a load of rubbish on there that just get rid of it. It's like temporary files, like the demo version of Windows or whatever for the handheld. I don't know. There's like some optimization files and stuff that you just get rid of that. And then once I'd done that, I then booted it back up and then did clean system files and just did the same thing. I just selected everything and then got rid of it. And now we're going to optimize our drives because we've just done loads of updates. We've just cleared loads of rubbish, right? Now we want to optimize the SSD. So you're going to type in defrag. No, we're not defragging an SSD. I know defrag is just for HDDs, hard disk drives, right? But Windows is still old and they've got defrag and optimization now. So it's going to show your drive and it's going to tell you this is an SSD, you can't defrag it, but you can optimize it. It's going to say optimize never, and by default it will optimize weekly, but we want to do it immediately because it's not done it yet and we've just done a load of stuff, right? So highlight your drive, hit optimize now, it will immediately go through it, and then we are ready to do what we want. But we're still not done. I'm going to actually change some personalization stuff, right? So I'm going to change my theme. So I'm going to go and right click on the desktop and then go to personalize, and then we will go to themes, right? So you can choose dark mode, which for me, I don't like light mode. It's too much on my eyes. So I changed it to dark mode, and this is just like Windows. If you've used the PC like normal, this is no different. You can change everything here. So I just went through, made it dark mode and all that good stuff, how I wanted it to appear. And well, just have a look through some of the settings and tailor it to your own needs. It doesn't have to be light mode, and there's plenty of options you can check or uncheck here. And now we've personalized our Ally X, I'm going to change my taskbar settings. So I'm right clicking down on the taskbar and going to taskbar settings. I'm then going to do the search icon only for search. I'm going to turn off the Copilot in Windows, and I'm just going to go through this and sort of tailor it, because for me, I don't like that kind of touch screen layout. Like I said earlier, I'm just going to be using the right stick and the bumpers and triggers like a mouse when I'm not in a game. So I don't want it to be like hiding the taskbar and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to force the taskbar on all the time and then go that way. But obviously, if you like using the touchscreen and how it's set up now, you can just leave Windows as it is. But for me, I just don't like it. I don't like having to keep touching the screen and stuff. So I've got the taskbar alignment in the center, but you can have it in the left if you like Windows 10 or previous. When I had my pre-production model, I had it on the left, but now I'm going to have it in the center just because it's quicker to get to those taskbar icons rather than having to go all the way over to the left, right? So if it's in the middle, it's a bit quicker to get to since you're using your thumb on the joystick as the mouse pointer. And then you can just change a bunch of stuff here if you so wish. But but I've turned off the optimized taskbar for touch interactions. So now my taskbar is always going to remain there, just like on a laptop or a desktop, right? And it's going to be smaller, and you can still touchscreen it. It's just they're a bit smaller, right? But for me, this is just how I like to use it. But anyway, now let's go over Armoury Crate. So open up Armoury Crate with your Armoury Crate button, and we'll go to the settings tab. Now there's control mode at the top. Now here you can globally change and remap your buttons. So for me, I just globally changed the back paddles to like left back paddle being left stick click in, you know, like L3, and right back paddle being R3, just because I absolutely hate clicking sticks in. Makes it overshoot or overrun or whatever. I'd much rather have those back paddles be them, depending on the game that I'm playing, right? Of course, but this is a global remap. So any game you launch will have this remapping, and you can of course do per game remapping, but where we're in right now is just, you know, global, right? You can also then change the left stick, the right stick dead zone, and the curves and the triggers and all that good stuff, vibration and gyro as well. And then there is a desktop mode as well, and this is where my wife, I was saying, remapped her buttons entirely. So she had the left stick as mouse pointer, left click, so L3 as left click on a mouse, and R3 as right click. So she really didn't like the default config, but for me I do. So she went and she changed it, and you can do that here, and that's a global thing. Then you can back out and go to the general tab, and then there's actually startup animations now. So you've got a Starfield one, you've got a RoboCop one, there's a bunch of them, and they're pretty cool. And backing out of here, if you go down, you can choose the theme of Armoury Crate, and you can align it with Windows as well. I've got mine set to dark, even though I've got Windows set to dark. You've then got device info, storage info, and about. It's a bunch of stuff here, just take a look at it, whatever. Then you've got performance modes, and this is where your TDP settings are on operating mode. You've got your 13 watt, your 17 watt, and your turbo mode, depending on whether you plugged in or not, is 25 or 30 watt. Then you've got your system stats, eco assist, and GPU settings. So GPU settings now gives you up to 16 gigabytes of GPU RAM, so you can assign 16 gig of RAM to the GPU. Its default is 8 gigabytes. And then you've got calibration, where you can calibrate your controls. You've got game visual to change the screen depending on the game as well, and you can do that per game as well, which is pretty cool. And then you've got the aura setting, or lighting they call it, and you can change the sticks, the brightness. It's kind of annoying that it's set like 33% and then like 66% or something like that, and goes up. Why can't you just incrementally do it so it's like 1% brightness? Like, it's kind of annoying there's a slider, but you can't actually specifically set exactly where you want. It's like 0, 33, 66, and then like 100 or something like that. Kind of annoying. That annoys me. I wish you could just go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 100, you know, or at least in increments of 10. Why is 33 the one up from 0? I don't know, like, annoying, but you can turn them off if you want to save battery life, which isn't going to be a problem because you've got an Ally X. Now, if you go back to the first tab, this is where your games are. So you can set favorites. You can see all your games and game platforms as well, like Steam, Xbox, and all that good stuff. I downloaded a few quick games here just so that I could show you, right? And you can change how they're listed. So you can have them like default or a list view, or you can actually go in and customize library, and this makes it more Steam Deck-esque, where you can change where they're placed on the screen, if they scroll like a carousel, how big they are, how blurred the background image is as well, if it shows the game tile, if it shows the game background image, how much you can blur it and darken that image too. It's really cool. It lets you customize this just straight off the bat. You don't have to mess around with it. It's just instantly there. And I do definitely like that. Obviously, if you've got a very large collection of games, the carousel thing is kind of annoying, and just the default view is probably better, especially if you've just upgraded your SSD like I have. But if you've got a small amount of games, or if you want your favorites showing or whatever, then this is pretty cool to do. It's just a nice bit of customization in the new Armoury Crate. Now, if you press X on a game, you can go to set game profile, and this is where your per game profile remapping starts. And you can start with a selected template, so like gamepad mode, for example, and then you can back out of that and then make your adjustments, and then your templates will then appear. So right now I'm going to reassign, like I've said before, that I do the L3 and R3 thing to the back paddles, right? And then where it goes up to template, for that game, it now says I've made a template, and I can export or import it. So I can actually export this and send it to our Discord for our members to use or whatever, and people can then download that and import my settings if they want to do that. So if there's an old school game or a game that doesn't support, controls, gamepad controls, someone could remap it and make it work first, and then you could just download it off the internet or whatever. It's pretty cool. It's a really good idea. And now finally we're into the command center. Now this is brilliant because you want all of the stuff on here really. You've got operating mode, you've got desktop mode, the control mode, you've got show desktop, show keyboard and all that stuff, but you can add so much more. There's only 9 by default, but you can add resolution and refresh rate. You can add LED brightness or game visual, where you change the look of the colors of the screen, or you can add screenshot or record, so you can actually record gameplay footage. There's a bunch of stuff. Tailor how you want. You can do microphone or airplane mode, but there is AMD RIS as well, which is a sharpening tool, sort of system wide. And there is AMD's fluid motion frames as well, AFMF, but CPU boost is on there, which is definitely good to have because it will be on by default and not all games will need it. So having a toggle there is great, but my absolute favorite is having end task. And this is just Alt F4. So if a game crashes or bugs or whatever, you just load up your command center, hit end task, and it's just going to kill it. And then you're back to desktop mode. And I definitely had that a couple of times with my pre-production unit. So having this is really good because you don't have to mess around, bring up the keyboard, try and press buttons. Nah, just don't bother with that. Just do end task, and whatever it is, it doesn't have to be a game. It can be any program that's just failed or you just want to hard quit out of it. Just press end task and it's just going to kill the process. It's really, really good. So there we have it. You're now fully set up and ready to start downloading your games. Yes, there's another step, but don't worry because the Ally X has Wi-Fi 6E. I was getting over 100 megabytes per second on my Wi-Fi, so games were installing pretty fast, which is awesome. But yeah, you should hopefully now be all ready and set. Yeah, there are some other things that you can do, so make sure you're subscribed because I will be releasing more guides as well. I will be doing a Windows optimization guide that will get you more FPS out of some games as well, but only if you're using the Ally X as a gaming only machine. And of course, we've done the drive swap video as well. So if you're interested in swapping your drive, well then check that out. It's already on the channel. But yeah, make sure you subscribe to see more Ally X content. And also don't forget to become a member because not only do you see these videos early, but you can also join our private Discord where you can talk to me and talk to AJ. And talking about AJ, he's on the podcast channel. So go check out a podcast video from me and AJ, probably about the Ally X as well. But yeah, thanks for watching.